James' meal's not that exciting. But I'm going to talk about the Shelbourne Hotel Series 2, Pumpkin Everything, The Chosen Season 4, The Bureau Season 4. And I guess James has something to talk about, it looks like, too.
I really didn't talk about
The book that much. So, anyway, this definitely got top of the stack, and I can't imagine what they covered in Series 1. It must have been really exciting.
Is it a hotel?
It is. It's a very fancy hotel, and they show all of the things that they do, like, it's in Ireland.
So it's a real thing, like it's a documentary then?
Well, it's like one of those reality shows sort of thing.
Oh.
But I don't know, halfway
like
in between
with
a
Gordon
documentary
Ramsay
and
or something like that?
Yeah, it's way better than that stuff, though.
I hope so.
It's really good.
Someone should.
They did a
launch
really
into
good
that
job
Gordon
on
Ramsay.
this.
I'd like him to try and roast my ears.
I mean, watching
last
all the
time they'd
people
ever
like
tried it,
vacuuming and stuff and getting and everything looking so perfectly, it got me motivated to vacuum this morning and do a bunch of laundry. There's laundry hanging out all around me. You can see some behind me and stuff.
We're having a stretch of warm weather, so we figured we'd save money.
Yeah, drying the
and
laundry
effort
out here.
coming
But
back.
I'm gonna have to bring it in at night though, so I'll have to just see what I can get dry today, and then if it's not dry, like I can just kind of stretch it out over the sofas or whatever.
Most of the stuff's going to do
I think
okay,
it'll
except for the
Sleeping bag maybe.
bed.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, this is great. So if you want to motivate yourself to get some housework done, definitely watch this. It's a lot of
So it's a
fun.
real high-class hotel, is it?
Very, yes.
I've only stayed
It's
at one.
it's funny, yeah. Well, I never have. But you were saying because you were laid over in
Yeah,
plane? Yeah, so they
They
brought
were
you.
overbooked. Just coming back from Russia. The last flight out of Russia on SAS, Scandinavian Air Services. And they were very apologetic, and they set me up in Helsinki. And everything inside of it was white. It looks like something
Yeah, that's so great.
John and Yoko would have been living in, and
Yeah.
they knew that they could have it white because everything was spotless. It's incredible.
Yeah, that would be incredible, staying at a place like that. Anyway.
Then also in the airport, we got to fly business class, and I thought business class was, oh, you save. No, it's like your royalty. So you have your own lounge with all the newspapers you could get. They're yours. You just take them free. So I grabbed a bunch of newspapers in other languages than English, and then you got leg room up front and all this sort of stuff on the plane. All that's business class, and you know. Any businessman who flies that way is an idiot because
yeah, that doesn't make good business
a good
sense.
business guy is saving his money up
Yeah.
so he can invest it. You know, I had a relative. He's dead now. Thought he was a businessman, and it was always
And that's the way he
new
wanted to
house,
live. Yeah.
bunch of cars, all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. And of course, he was borrowing money from me. And or trying to, you know, to run his business because he couldn't save. I'd save, you know, and he had the gumption when I said I'm not going to give the money. Yeah, you're a lousy businessman. I'm sitting there thinking,
You're
wow,
the
you're
one
way
having
worse,
to borrow.
idiot.
Anyway, so yeah, it was funny watching this because I was reminded of when we were in Waterton one day. Like James talks to everybody, so
I didn't do much talking on the way back, actually, just with a couple of guys.
Yeah.
They were. If you get on the Crip
no,
Lake
I
Trail.
wasn't talking about this last trip.
Oh,
I was
I
talking
see.
about a
Sorry,
trip way before.
Yeah.
So there was a man from India, and he was a young man. He was not married yet, and he was talking. We were talking about the Banff Springs Hotel and stuff like that, and he was saying I would never stay in those hotels. He said, what you think is a 5-star hotel here is, you know, if you went to India and you went to a 3-star hotel, you would get better than here in the. He's like, there you go to India, everywhere you go, there's air conditioning, and this and that, and he's talking about it. And I was thinking I didn't say anything, but I was thinking at the time, well, there would be for you anywhere you went, but there would be a lot of people in India who they wouldn't, anywhere they went, they would never see it, right? But that's just how it is. But anyway, so seeing this, it's like, oh yeah, crazy how fancy things can be and how hard people work to make everything just perfect. And it's really impressive. Like they had to renovate the outside of their building because the bricks were old, right? This is an old building, and the decorations around the, I don't know, plaster or whatever was crumbling and stuff like that. They needed to get it renovated, and they're like, oh, what are we gonna do, right? So what they did, it was really smart. They're like, scaffolding always looks ugly, and so what can we do with it? So they put basically a photograph of their hotel, looking all nice, and they made it as big as the hotel. So they have this printout that it was basically like a sheet that they just dropped in front of the scaffolding, and it actually looks like the hotel. I mean, it wouldn't when you're going in, you'd realize, oh, there's scaffolding there or whatever, or this is right, but it was very convincing. It was awesome. Great idea.
Where did you say this was?
Ireland.
New York? Ireland. There
Yeah.
we go.
So, yeah, it was really interesting. I didn't like the Halloween stuff with whatever. I mean, the staff having competitions with the table for Halloween displays.
Halloween is
silly.
Celtic anyway.
Okay, maybe, well, they seem to get into it, whatever. I didn't care for that episode as much, but anyway, it's interesting. So.
And obviously they knew what customer service was. We got some
Did
good customer
they ever?
service this morning.
We did,
From
yes.
a place where
Yeah, last
we got
time
dumped
we
on
went to.
about 4 people, including a manager.
Last time we went to AMA, like this time, the guy was so great. He was wonderful. He should get like employee award for. Honestly, we should actually call in and we should say he was great. We keep meaning to do that, so that people will get awards, because they should get recognized for being fruit and well awesome. So, and he was very nice. So, but the time before, like when we went, James was like, we're never getting insurance from them again, and da 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 da.
And we're not.
Yeah, but well, this guy was nice.
That's 1 out of 5. That's 20% service.
Okay.
And the
well,
other was just gruesome.
Yeah, it was.
That
It was
kind
really
of service
awful.
the guy did is more or less what you and I would do. It should be expected.
You're right. You're right. What I was thinking, oh, that seems awesome, but really that should be standard. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a princess, you expect this. Anyway, so a couple Hallmark movies, Pumpkin Everything and Autumn in the City. And they had Pumpkin Everything. You can see this is the bigger one, and it came first, and I don't know why, because this one, Autumn in the City, was actually better than Pumpkin Everything. Autumn in the City was actually pretty decent. Pumpkin Everything, I might have put that down at the bottom of the stack, actually. It was pretty gruesome. Using James's word. So, The Chosen Season 4. If you watched The Chosen before, then you know what you're getting into, and yeah, this is a good series. I enjoy The Chosen. Pretty good. I do have.
What have they chosen to do?
Well, this is about Jesus. Series about Jesus.
Weird.
Yeah.
That wasn't chosen for his looks.
No, not this guy. Anyway, so. Yeah, anyway, I guess I should have said that, because James didn't know, and you might not know either, but it's a pretty good series about Jesus, and I saw that Like this, I found this interesting that I was looking at the credits and it said Manitoba and Winnipeg and stuff or whatever. So that's funny because when I worked in Winnipeg for one summer, the guy that I was working with, he was like, yeah, people always rent out these houses to do movies and stuff. And he was showing me around, because he knew that. But anyway, so when I was looking at this, it was Utah, and I'm like, they must have filmed this in Utah, and I didn't know.
It's pretty scenic there, really.
Yeah. But anyway, so what was I going to say about this? Oh, I don't like the whole multiculturalism thing. Like this, there were people that were way too fair-skinned, people that were way too dark-skinned in this. You know what they're supposed to look like?
They're supposed to look like Bob Dylan with dark eyes.
So this should look Middle Eastern,
hair,
right?
Like Leonard Nimoy
And
or
I know that everybody's thinking,
Leonard
well,
Cohen.
I want to feel like, you know, Jesus is my Jesus and whatever. It's one of us. But
I don't pick my friends based on their looks.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and that's one thing that's really great about the Christian faith is that people ended up loving Jesus even though they didn't look like him, right? So, anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I'm mainly Irish. I don't want to hang around with a bunch of Irish people and have a bunch of Irish people move in here and stuff like that. I don't mind if they do, but I don't feel all lonesome because there's not so many Irish people around.
Yeah. Anyway, because James has Irish ancestry. That's what he was saying with that. Anyway, but he has lots of different ancestry.
Lots of different things.
Yeah. So this got bottom of the stack for me. You know why? Because I have loved watching The Bureau so much, seasons 1, 2, 3, and now I get to season 4 and I'm like, nope. Didn't love it.
Out of ideas?
Well, it's just, I don't know. I think that, like, this says 2018, 2019. Anyway, so I think what happened is they decided, oh, wait, maybe the Middle East isn't so in fashion anymore. Maybe it should be the Russians. And so he ended up, the main character ended up hiding out in Russia. Spoiler alert, but who cares? And what I was liking about season 3 is he was kind of messed up after, which would be, right? He was in prison, he was getting tortured and stuff. And so then when you get to season 4, like, or at the end of season 3, he keeps imagining that, like, he's seeing a dog that was in the prison where he was. And so he's, like, imagining that he's petting the dog at one point, and he's walking along with the dog. And it just, you know, it really gets you, right? Because, you know, you can sense just how much damage he's had, that he's seeing this. And so what it would have been nice, okay, so I'll tell you what, in season 4, there's no dog. He seems fine. And, which I didn't like. He should have still been messed up. And another thing, his whole motivation for, you know, he's really in love with this woman, and he hasn't been having relationships with anybody else, even though he's not with the woman anymore, but he'd like to be, and whatever, right? And I like that. I like seeing that, right? So he's in Russia. He starts flirting with a Russian woman there, and
he's a foreigner.
Yeah, and so she's younger than him, which I'm not so keen on, but okay, it's fine.
I mean,
but
he's a spy, kind of like.
Yeah, and he's
Okay.
hiding out. And so anyway, this woman, the way he's flirting, frankly, I found it kind of gross anyway. And then it happens that she has children. Well, that they could have played that up a bit, that him wanting to have a relationship because he misses his daughter, right? And she could have had a dog, and then he feels like, oh, I have a dog, like the dog that in the prison, right? They could have played that way, and I wouldn't have been put off. But watching this, I was just like, well, then when you get to the end of the season, he's back daydreaming about the woman from before, right, that he was in love with, and his daughter. He's daydreaming about these two, and that's how it should have been all along. It should have been explained, well, if he's going to have this relationship with this other woman, it should be that she reminds him of the other woman, and so she should have looked sort of similar, or and had a dog and had a daughter, right? And then it would have made sense that he was going for her, because he was very damaged at that point, and he would have wanted and needed his family, the loved ones that he had near him, and he wasn't able to have that. And so that would have made sense. And then the people watching, like me, would have thought not only that it's okay that, oh, okay, he had this relationship even though he's in love with somebody else, but we would have felt like, oh, he needs it, so it's not only okay, it's good. But we don't feel that way in this. We feel, ugh, don't like him as much, kind of creepy, smarmy, typically what we think of Frenchmen as being, like, oh, he just goes off and sleeps with whatever woman or whatever, and we don't want to think that about him. We're watching this and we want to really like this guy. So yeah, that's my reviews. I guess James we'll see how much time he has to talk about some hot spots in Alberta. You have 12 minutes, James, so you have lots of time. I've got to get a drink of water. The sweat is pouring off me out here.
It's hot out. I'm going to drink. I'm going to drink. I was almost using a German word. Don't worry, it wasn't a German 4-letter. It's kind of like a form of drink. German is like English, a Germanic language. They're related. I kind of previewed this book yesterday. Got a confession to make. I'm going to review this book, even though I haven't finished it. I'm going to tell you how much I haven't finished it. A page and a little, and that's the index. But I tend to be a completist when it comes to trails. One of these days I want to do all the accessible trails in Waterton and its neighboring park in BC, Kishinana or Kishinana, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Anyway, 200 nature hotspots. No, we're not talking about hot springs or anything like that necessarily. In Alberta, that's Alberta, Canada, for you folks that are from something like overseas, or even south of the border, that track of geography and stuff like that. So this is the best parks conservation areas. There's not necessarily parks and wild places, so not even conservation areas. So they've kind of got it set up in a different kind of way. Like they have the Rocky Mountains, and then they have, I believe it's the southern Alberta,
Oh, that's
Alberta,
good that they have it set up.
and northern Alberta. But they separate the Rocky Mountains away from southern Alberta.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird because I think Waterton, one of our 3 national mountain parks here in Alberta, I mean, part of southern Alberta. But nice views of Milk River. Just opened it up to
Yeah,
that.
that looks terrific.
So Milk River at
Writing on stone?
Writing on Stone. So here's some writing on stone here. Now the writing is pretty late because they've got people carrying guns and stuff like that. At least some of the
Yeah.
stuff is post contact. And
Well, I don't know if
Blackfoot
they
is
have the
fairly-
tours still, but they used to give tours of some areas that you're not allowed to go to
Yeah,
on your
they
own.
do. Yeah.
They still do
But
that?
you'd have to book and hopefully pay out fair
I
amount.
don't think you pay.
Okay, well there
I
you
think
go.
you just book.
But they don't trust people.
Or at least
I
they
would.
used to. You didn't used to have to pay. But
Because there are all
honestly,
sorts
it's
of
worth
skunks that are
paying.
going around saying, I can outdo the indigenous people. How about if I carve my initials in
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
okay.
There was some stuff.
graffiti?
But honestly,
Oh, but graffiti is art! Anyway, go.
well, I think it's all graffiti. So I don't actually like the the writing on stone part as much as I find it interesting and whatever. I'd rather just see the rocks. I find the rocks interesting, and I would rather that they didn't have writing on them.
Well, you know, it was state of the art for them and stuff like that, I guess. You know, there's all sorts of stuff that's been carved in the rock. There were some
I
Buddhas
know.
that were taken out by our friendly, not so neighborhood Muslims in Afghanistan. a while
Well,
back.
and I realize as I'm getting older too that if you do something like I was thinking about Mount Rushmore and stuff like that, and I thought it would have been nice to just have the mountains. But then I've seen shows recently about people going out and chipping away and fossil hunting and stuff like that. And
Like
I
in
guess
the Burgess Shales
Or-
up in Yoho, or wherever that is.
wherever, right? And I guess if you do something like carve the mountain into something, then it might actually be protected better. There might be a better chance that the rest of it will be protected rather than chipped away by stupid people.
I'd
So,
like to think so.
yeah.
This is somewhat in our area. Red Rock Coulee, natural area. So it's just a natural area. Hopefully they've kept it natural enough so they don't let a lot of off-road traffic, even mountain bikes, be annoying. But
A lot of these places, though, it might be hard to find them. Like, do they give good directions for
of
how
course,
to get?
yeah,
They do?
located off a dusty dirt road, so they don't even say gravel, in the middle of nowhere. But it's
But they give you the lat and long and everything.
latitude and longitude,
Okay.
exactly right. So
Yeah.
you'd be able to find it.
Yeah.
We've been in that general area once. You weren't thrilled with the roads, and actually not probably that much thrilled with the scenery. So this is in southeastern Alberta,
Okay.
south of Medicine Hat.
Oh yeah.
Remember the roads there? They were incredible. We did see a lot of pronghorn antelopes.
Mhm.
Well, this is a nice thing. We've been to Police Outpost Provincial Park,
Yeah, it's very pretty.
and what you see is,
What you get,
what-
basically, yeah.
of course, it's south of the border, not down Mexico. That's called Chief Mountain.
Oh,
In Estico, in Blackfoot, and that's really what it should be called. Because you can call any sort of mountain Chief Mountain. But lots of the Americans call that Seminole Mountain of all
Hmm.
things. And then the neighboring mountain off to this, it has a couple of peaks they call Sarcee Mountain. Well, that's not even the politically correct term for Sarcee anymore. It's Tutina, and their reserve is by Calgary.
oh really?
So the Sarcee Mountain would be on the
Blood?
Blackfeet Reservation because it's in the United States. Like Chief
Oh,
Mountain's
okay.
in the United States. The mountain next to it's in the United States too.
Okay.
Good view there. So they have a pretty good. Here's the Okotoks erratic. So Okotok, like Lethbridge, where we're sitting, should really be called Sik Okotok. That means black rock. Sik means black and Blackfoot. Okotok or Okotoks here, they put the S there. It means rock. Here we go. This is this big rock, and it actually comes from the Jasper near the
Oh really?
near the town of Jasper too. It's not like down
It
south.
moved a long ways.
Moved a long way. And they call it an erratic train. So they track this train. This is the biggest one, I think. This train of rocks all the way from, I think it came down the Athabasca River, or pre-Athabasca River, but all the way down to Montana. Okotoks is kind of not even halfway from Calgary to Lethbridge, but it goes beyond Lethbridge, basically a little bit.
Yeah, people
west of
climb
here.
up on that Okotoks Rock.
I
and
hope
stuff.
they
I've
don't
seen
do it anymore. It's
Well,
considered sacred to the Blackfeet.
They,
So
I know, it bothered me seeing that
you
people
stay
do,
off of
but
there, and by all means, don't add your dirty graffiti there. I don't care if you're initials of JC, as in Jesus Christ.
But you know
keep
how
your
it
dirty
is,
paws off them.
unless people police something, unless people are stopped from doing it, they're aggressive people do whatever they want.
Yeah, so you're gonna, this one I think, how much time we got? 5?
3.5.
A little less. Anyway, I'll show people something in northern Alberta.
It's warm.
And I've been there. Back as when I was
You've been there too, Saskatoon
Island,
Mhm.
and Cedar Waxwing there.
Very handsome.
Very, very colorful. There's some good pictures in here. So the picture doesn't look that
No, but
fantastic,
Saskatoon Island
but,
is actually a really
when's
nice
a good
place.
time? About early
Well,
August to hit
Saskatoon
there?
season.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, that's
loaded.
awesome. It's well named, and
Yep.
the indigenous people would head there.
And you always see
during bear
loons.
season.
So if you want to see loons, you go out on the walk and you go around, and there's some binoculars on a dock, and you look out at the loons.
So we've been to Lesser Slave Lake, and the East End is what
It's
they're
very
talking about,
beautiful.
the provincial park.
Yeah.
We were just outside the provincial park, and we camped on the beach.
Yes.
I can't recall there being
Because
just that many rocks.
my
where-
aunt was married to a man that he owned a cottage there.
It was
right on
an
the
impressive
beach.
cottage.
Lovely.
It wasn't the smallest cottage.
And
in
so
the
we
world.
got to camp right on the sand. That might
was
be the
awesome.
only time we're ever allowed to do such a thing.
So tell me what, I think they fenced it off, but what people used to do here.
They used to drive right up Pleskin Hills. It was terrible.
So it's
One day I went there and it just broke my heart. There were big truck grooves up the thing.
You stay off of
trying to
stuff
get up.
like this. If you're one of these stupid idiots driving 4x4, they tend to be black.
I mean,
You know,
it's
this
so
is
special.
well, it's special.
If you
Then-
look at it, if you're from here, you're like, oh, what? It's just a hill. That's up past north of Grand Prairie.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Badland thing, and it's not just this one hill, but
No, there's
it's
a few
considered
of them.
sacred to the indigenous people from around there.
Well, and
Yeah.
it should be.
Stay off of
It's
it.
really cool.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
there's nothing like that until you get way down south here. So that's really special.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a mass grave of beaver warriors. So the beaver
Oh, really?
people are indigenous to there. So the name Pleskin is likely a
But they
beaver
fenced it
origin.
off. Luckily, I
Means
guess
what?
there must have been some other people that were like, that's it. I guess we got to put up a fence because some idiots are driving up the stupid things.
Yeah. So I don't think we've been by here, but we haven't gone to a Kimian birdwalk. You know, it's almost, the sky is more impressive. I'd
Yeah,
be saying
it does
we
look
are
impressive
getting
there.
undercover. 'Cause that's what's called complex clouds. And usually that means some
Yep,
sort of rain.
Gonna
in
get some
summertime.
rain.
That would mean a thunderstorm.
Okay, you have 40 seconds.
40 seconds. So this comes, if you're gonna, I get it from a library. Like we got it from the library. Don't buy it, but it's quite a wonderful book. It's got lots of things in here that are, like this is Dinosaur Provincial Park. We were there with a big basset hound.
Yeah.
He kept on finding places where there was
There-
water
where there-
underground.
Yeah, exactly.
He was getting
He'd sniff
thirsty.
it out and he's like, oh man, there's
Yeah.
no water
We made
here.
sure that we went there in springtime, but it was a hot day in springtime.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So we had to get
that
him water
highly
from the car.
recommended that book. Just don't pay the money for it.